Hi everyone. Today we are going to learn about 4.4b factoring quadratic expressions. So you are going to factor quadratic expressions, but you will see the coefficient of x squared is not 1. Before we do that one, let's start with the do not first. So you have three questions. So can you factor these expressions? I'll give you about 3 minutes. Okay, let's go over together. So we know to find out the factor, we should find out the what? Pair factors of this C, right? C is a negative 14. So pair factors are 1, 14, and 2 and 7. Only you have two options. Then easily, when you add the two numbers, one of them must be negative because when you multiply, it becomes negative. So one of them is negative. And then when you add them, it should have negative 5. So what are they? Instead of 114, you have 2 and 7 give you negative 5, right? So negatives, so negative is for 7, so 2 and negative 7. So when you write down the answer, x minus 7 and x plus 2. Do you understand? How about the B? Oh, this one doesn't have a C here. What does it mean then? Yeah, C is 0, right? C is 0. Then when you multiply two numbers, it becomes 0. To become 0, one of them must be 0. Then it's gonna be very easy though. The other one, when you add the two numbers, 0 and the other number, if you add, it becomes negative 11. Then what is it? Negative 11. So your answer is x plus or x minus 0, both anything is 0. So both of them give you 0, x times x minus 11, right? Another way, you know that these both terms have x as a common. Then you take out as x as a common, and then in the parentheses, x times x becomes x squared minus x times 11 is 11x. You can do this way also. Now, C, x squared minus 1. We learned that 1 square is also 1. So this is a x squared minus y squared form, right? X squared minus 1 square. Instead of y, we have 1. Then you remember the formula x minus y, x plus y. So this is x minus 1, x plus 1. All right? Because negative 1 plus positive 1 is 0. So bx is 0. So you don't have a b term. All right, let's move on to today's lesson. So you have today's lesson, you have a function f of x equal to 4x squared minus 26x plus 12. So when you factor any expression, first step is you should take a look at every single term and then see if there is any common for everything. Do you see any common among all three terms? Yeah, they are all even numbers. And what is common? 2, right? So first step, you should, if there is a common for among all the three terms, you should factor it out. That we call GCF, greatest common factor. So 2 is common for all the terms. We factor it out. Then 2 times 2x squared in the parentheses, you divide by 2 everything, right? So 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. Now we are going to factor the things in the parentheses. You just keep the 2 somewhere else, and always 2 must follow the factors, but you need to worry about only 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. Now, we call this AC method because it's a little bit different from the easy one, right? When this is coefficient is 1. AC method is you multiply A and C. A and C. What is it? 8 times C is, yes, 12, right? It's 12. So you are going to separate, okay? If you multiply 12, then when you multiply two numbers, right, it'll be AC, like a C. So multiply two numbers, it becomes 12. And then when you add, it becomes negative 13. So which two numbers you multiply become 12? And then when you add, it becomes negative 13. So possible candidates are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. But if you multiply, it becomes 12. So they are the possible pairs of vectors, right? Pair of vectors. But when you add them, it should be negative 13. So both numbers must be negative. And then we know negative 1 and negative 12, right? Now you should remember this. Yeah, this is kind of tricky. So you know that negative 1 and the negative 12 are the numbers. So this one will, we should here separate bx into two parts with these two numbers. So instead of negative 13x, we are going to put negative 1x and negative 12x. You separate like this. So instead of negative 13x, what do? We just separated these two numbers, right? We found the two numbers, negative 1x and negative 12x. And then we factor by grouping. We factor by grouping. So here you factor the first group and then second group. So if you see the first group, now, do you see any common? Yes, x is a common, right? So you take it out, x, and the x times 2x minus 1. How about here? So when you have a negative in the first term, take it out as a factor together. And then 12 and 6 is common is 6. So negative 6 comes out. And then inside the parentheses, because of negative outside, you need to change all the sign inside. So negative 12x, negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x, right? And negative 6 times minus 1 becomes positive 6. Now, you factored each group, and then do you see these two groups has us again, there's a common again. What is common? Yes, 2x minus 1. Then we take the 2x minus 1 as a factor here, and then in the other factor, you put the x, and then minus 6 in the parentheses. So x come here, and this number minus 6 come here. Because 2x minus 1, this one, and this one, because it's a common, take it out as a factor. And then in the parentheses, you put this x and minus 6. And you are done. How was it? I know it's a kind of challenging, but now look, if you feel this is, you can handle it, you should know this method. But if you think this method is very difficult, then I recommend you Kim's method. We learned the Kim's method, right? So my method, which is a kind of abnormal method, which is not normal. So, but still, I recommend you to use this Kim's method now. Let's try Kim's method. It will be much easier for you, but sometimes kind of you will get the answer, but the work is not good. All right. But still you can find the answer. It'll be very helpful. So with us, I recommend you to use this Kim's method. So now, first step is the same. First step, we find out the common factor among all three terms, which is 2, right? 4, 26, 12, all even numbers. So you take it out, take the 2 out as a factor, Then 2 times 2x squared become 4x squared. 2 times negative 13x, it becomes negative 26x. 2 times 6 is 12. It's equivalent, right? Equal. Now you factor, you have a 2 as a factor. Now there's another one, but still this is a quadratic equation, so you should factor this. But now Kim's method, what do? We put this in the calculator, right? So you put only 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. So let's put this in the calculator. So shall we go together now? Let's try with the calculator here. So now I'm going to put 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. So instead of this, okay, hold on. So I will clear 2x squared minus 13x, and then what is the other number? Plus 6, right? So plus 6 and enter. And what do? We go to the table, right? We go to the table. And then we should find out 1 0 value. You should know that this 0, x0 is not we are looking for. X0 and y value 6 is a y-intercept, right? When we talk about 0 is y value must be 0. So do you find any y value 0? Here, what is the x? Yes, x equal to 6, right? X is 6. So we found out one answer, x equal to 6. Then when you write down the factor, I told you how to write down opposite. So x minus 6. So you found the one factor, right? So let's go back again. So we found out one factor from here, right? From the table, you found that the y value 6, x, no, y value 0, x is 6, this one. This is y-intercept. This is what we're talking about. So x equal to 6 is 1, 0 value. So you know the factor is x minus 6. Easy, right? Then we need to write down 2 over here also. But how do you find out the other factor? Just think about, let's think of only 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. So we find out the other factor, you put the parentheses first, and then you know something x and a number, right? So we just figure out how. So let's find out the other factor. How do you find? Just follow this. X times what? When you multiply this first two term, it should be this 2x squared. So what is it? Yes, 2x. Then how about you need to find only the number. This number, how do you find? It's easy. Negative 6 times what is positive 6? Negative 6 times what is positive 6? Oh, negative 1. So 2x minus 1, right? So 2x minus 1. So everybody understand? Then don't stop here, please. We had the 2 over here, right? So you need to put all the factors together. So 2 times x minus 6 and 2x minus 1 is the factors. But actually you have two factors. This is 2 times is just a number multiplied. There is no x, right? So you have two factors here. So now we are done. Does everybody understand? Okay. Then let's move on. So now I want you to use the calculator, right? Kim's method, I mean. So this is a error analysis. Can you find out? So Sunny found the factors, but there is something wrong. Can you figure out what is wrong? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Can you try? Okay. So now, first step, 2 among all three terms, you see they are all even numbers. So 2 is common. And then 2 times 2m squared is 4m squared. 2 times minus 11m is 22m minus. And 2 times 15 is positive 30. Perfect. Good. Now, what do? You suppose use the calculator, right? You put this function in the calculator and then you find the zero. I don't need to do it with the calculator, right? You see y0. Then what is x value? In your calculator, you see x equal to 3. Yeah, up to here is perfect. All right. You will see in your calculator. Then if x is 3, oh, it's m is 3, then what's the factor? M plus 3? Is that correct? No, I say it's opposite. M minus 3, right? M minus 3. So this is wrong. Then if you have a m minus 3 here, so how do you get the next one? M times 2m. Let's go with this one and then explain. So you have this. M times 2m is 2m squared, right? There where you find the 2m. How about the other number here? Negative 3 times what is 15, positive 15. To become positive, negative, negative, become positive. So 3 times 5 is 15, so minus 5. Easy, right? You don't need to worry about the term in the middle. Later, if you FOIL it and then combine like terms, you get the minus 11m. But you don't need to worry about it when you use the Kimson method. So everybody understand? Okay. So now if you go down, you have more examples I showed. Please try by yourself first and compare your answer with this one. All right. And then you have assigned the questions below here. So from, oh, I missed ABCD, but you will have ABCD. And then about 12 and 16 questions. So please do it and then with the exit ticket and hand in the Google Classroom. All right, I'll stop here.